Welcome to the deep dive. We're diving straight into a topic that, well, most of us probably have a gut feeling about. Can a romantic relationship really thrive without physical intimacy? It feels almost, ingrained that touch is fundamental for romance. But we've got some compelling material here that asks us to maybe reconsider that.
Exactly. We've been looking at this article from Families called Can Relationships Survive Without Physical Intimacy?
Right.
And it offers a really thoughtful look at the possibilities, but also, the challenges involved.
So the mission today.
Our goal really is to get past that first assumption, to understand the key things that can make or break a relationship where physical intimacy isn't the main clue.
Okay, so right off the bat, the article tackles our big question head on.
And the answer isn't simple. It's not a yes or no.
More like a yes, but sort of thing.
Pretty much. And that but is, well, it's significant. The article makes it clear that, yes, it's possible, but it takes a very active, very conscious effort.
And understanding. A really profound level of understanding between partners.
Think of it this way. Physical touch often works like emotional shorthand, right? A hug means comfort, a kiss affection, a handhold reassurance. Yeah. Exactly. So when that's not there, every feeling, every need, it kind of has to be spoken, articulated.
Which is where communication steps up. Big time.
It becomes even more critical, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And it's not just checking in, like, how was your day? The article really hammers home the need for open and honest chats.
We're talking sharing deep feelings, desires. And this is crucial. Expectations around physical contact.
Or the lack of it. And setting boundaries that actually work for both people.
It's about creating that truly safe space because this stuff can feel incredibly vulnerable to talk about.
Yeah, for sure.
And when that physical side isn't the main connection point, emotional intimacy really has to step up. It becomes the bedrock.
The foundation.
Yeah, the article describes it nicely as, sharing your inner world, your thoughts, fears, wins, losses, and little details that make you you.
And it's not just theory, right? The article gets practical.
It does. It talks about making a real effort with regular communication.
Like whether that's just a quick text saying, thinking of you, or maybe a longer call to really catch up.
Or video chats. Seeing each other's faces makes a difference.
Definitely. And also actively sharing personal stories, getting into each other's interests, hobbies, those things that light you up.
And those big life goals, too. What shapes your future together or individually?
What struck me was the point about shared experiences, even virtually.
Ah, yes. It's not just being online together, but doing things together online.
Like watching the same movie at the same time and chatting about it.
Exactly. Or playing online games, little things like that. These shared moments, even apart, build that sense of being a team, a unit.
Yeah, that makes sense. And something easily overlooked. Just words.
The power of words.
The article makes a really strong case that verbal affection can be a surprisingly powerful substitute for touch.
Just hearing I love you, or even a simple I miss you.
It carries so much weight, doesn't it? Especially when you can't just reach out and touch someone.
Precisely. In the absence of, say, a comforting hug, those words become so important. They make your partner feel seen, valued, loved.
And there's always a but. The article doesn't gloss over the difficulties. It acknowledges the challenges are real.
Definitely not. Navigating this isn't easy. One of the big ones it points out is biological, actually.
The oxytocin thing.
Yeah, the lack of that natural oxytocin release you get from physical touch. The bonding hormone.
Right, the thing that helps build connection and trust on a physical level.
And the article suggests some ways to try and, bridge that gap, even if they don't perfectly replicate the biology.
Like sending care packages. Something tangible.
Exactly. Or writing actual letters they can hold, sharing photos from your day.
Little glimpses into your world. Things that create a sense of closeness despite the distance.
Yeah, it's about finding those alternative ways to connect.
Another potential pitfall mentioned is miscommunication.
That risk definitely goes up. Without the nonverbal cues, a reassuring hand squeeze, a look.
It's harder to read the room, so to speak, to know how someone's really feeling.
Which just circles back to needing that super clear, direct communication we talked about. You have to be even more explicit.
And check in more often, probably?
Yeah.
To make sure you're both on the same page.
Absolutely. Avoid those misunderstandings that a simple touch might otherwise clear up.
Now, the article also gets into situations where the lack of physical intimacy isn't really a choice, it's circumstance.
Right, like long-distance relationships or maybe health issues.
And the advice there feels very grounded. for long distance.
It stresses planning those visits. Having that in-person time to look forward to is huge.
A motivator. And a chance to reconnect physically when you can.
And between visits, really leaning into those virtual tools, maximizing calls, video chats, shared online time.
And what about when it's due to medical conditions or disabilities?
There, the emphasis is on, well, getting creative with expressing love and affection.
Finding alternatives.
Yeah, maybe putting even more focus on verbal affirmations or acts of service, doing things that show you care.
Finding other ways to demonstrate that connection, that appreciation beyond the physical.
And one really interesting angle in the article is this idea of reframing intimacy itself.
What do you mean by reframing?
Suggesting that focusing deeply on the emotional connection can be just as fulfilling, maybe even lead to a deeper bond in some ways.
Deeper because it's built purely on trust, respect, understanding, not just physical chemistry.
Kind of, like when the physical isn't the main focus, it forces you to connect on that more fundamental emotional level.
That's a powerful thought. So as we wrap this up, what are the absolute key takeaways you think we should hold on to from this article?
For me, it really boils down to a few core things. First, you absolutely need that rock-solid emotional foundation. It's non-negotiable.
Okay.
Second, the critical ongoing role of communication. Open, honest, continuous.
Got it.
Third, it takes real mutual effort and understanding from both sides. It doesn't just happen.
Right. Active participation.
And finally, truly respecting boundaries and limitations, whatever the reason behind the lack of physical intimacy might be.
So back to the big question. Can a romantic relationship thrive without physical intimacy? Based on this deep dive,
The answer seems to be a qualified yes, a nuanced yes.
it has unique hurdles, for sure. But if that emotional connection and communication are prioritized,
Then yes, it seems absolutely possible, and potentially very fulfilling too.
which leaves us with a final thought maybe for you listening.
Yeah, something to ponder. If that conscious effort to build emotional intimacy is so vital when physical touch isn't there, could applying that same focus, that same dedication to the non-physical side actually strengthen any relationship, even ones with physical intimacy?
Is it possible that by really nurturing those emotional bonds, those communication skills, regardless of circumstance, we could end up with a deeper understanding, a richer appreciation of our partners?
It's definitely food for thought, isn't it? Something worth considering.